Well, good evening, folks. Welcome to another episode of the Pegasus Sexual Podcast. And yeah, it's your eyes are not deceiving you. Things are a little bit different. There has been some changes, obviously, to things because Brightest Day, he bless his heart, he decided to take a hiatus, if you will, from YouTube. I think he just needs some time to really kind of assess things after just the egregious shit that YouTube has done to that guy. And we definitely are always thinking about him because he is DXO. He has meant so much to this program, and he's a BSG fan of BSG fans, and for BD to go through all the stuff that he has with YouTube is just absolutely ridiculous. So, obviously, we're always thinking about Brightest. He always has an open invite, and at some point, I'm pretty sure that he'll return to YouTube, and at least he'll always be in the chats and things like that. So, he's not completely gone or anything, but he's just taken a step back from creating content, and it's understandable. So, we anxiously await his return one day. And, we do have stepping into the co host chair my dear friend, Mr. Brahma Bull, who is also an avid BSG fan and knows some stuff about some stuff when it comes to this show. So we're going to have, I think, a pretty good discussion because we had one last time when Brahma was on, and now we're going to be going through the rest of the weeks. Obviously, coming up after this episode, we've got the two-parter finale of the series, which I'm sure we're all going to have thoughts on. So, so that's going to be something to look forward to. But for now, tonight's episode is season 4, and I want to say this was episode 18. Yeah, it was. Yep. This was Islanded in a Stream of Stars, and this is actually a really, really, really good one because there is a great, just awesome full circle moment of Adama and Ty's friendship in here, and oh, Maria is here. Maria, I love you, Maria. If you haven't subscribed to Miss Maria down there, Unlocking Lore, make sure that you do. She is amazing friend and amazing person. One part of the After the Weekend podcast with R to the Icky. She is super, super awesome. And whether she's creating content on her own or she's with R2, she is just the cat's meow. Enough good things cannot be said about Maria. And our boy Medi, what's going on, buddy? This is my nightly show on Thursday where I talk about Battlestar Galactica, change of pace. So this is fun. But yeah, this episode has some really, really good moments. I love a lot of the stuff that happens in the back half of this episode. But of course, as always, we will start with the front half, and we will get into the recap. I'll go ahead and let my acting XO here, Mr. Brahma Bull, get into the recap. So go for it, my friend.
Yeah, so this was season 4, episode 18, aired originally on 3/6 of 2009, and this one was actually directed by Edward James Olmos. So the teaser starts with Hera's playing in the CIC. She runs through the opera house, and then it shows her moving a model of the Galactica right up to a model of the base ship as raptors surround the base ship. A 6 walks up to a human crewman and wants to know why he's complaining. She says that it's the ship that is so bad. He counters that the goop isn't working, and 8 steps in and pulls the 6 off. Meanwhile, Anders is blinking, and at the same time that he blinks, there's power fluctuations throughout Galactica. Ellen says that Hera is their only hope. Ellen says that Hera will have been taken to the colony and tells them that they have given them resurrection technology in exchange for experimenting. Ty tells Lee that Ellen knows where the colony is, and Lee doesn't want to jump into a Cylon hornet's nest. Starbuck says that Hera could also be humanity's only hope, too. Kara says that Hera wrote the notes to a song that her father taught her when she was a child, and Ty chimes in that it was the same song that turned them on in the nebula. Kara continues that the song also led them to Earth. Kara again says that there's something greater going on, and Hera is the key to all of it. Adama isn't buying any of the Destiny stuff and scoffs at it. He says that Destiny has led them to the ass end of nowhere, and that
That's a great line, by the way.
Yeah. And that he can't even walk through his own ship without knowing if he'll get shot because of the Alliance. Ty points out that they are still alive and asks for at least a recon ship, and Adama agrees to a heavy raider because he doesn't want Hilo and Athena to find out. Meanwhile, in their quarters, Athena puts a plate down. Hilo walks over and turns her around. He tries to talk to her. He wants to know if she hates him, but she says nothing to him. Hilo walks away, and they are both clearly disturbed. Athena grabs her head. We get another sequence in the opera house where Hera's running as Rosalind and Athena both follow her. Baltar takes her behind the closed doors. Caprica 6 tosses and turns in her bed. Across from her, Rosalind wakes up. She tells Adama that she's been having that same dream again. Just then, the ship shudders. The hull breaches near the repair area. Decompression sucks Cylon and human repair crew out. The 6 and the human that she was arguing with struggle to hold on. She pulls him up the deck to a door where the 2 others pull him to safety. She then tells them to close it as he looks at her from safety behind the door, and she screams, "Lock it." He does, and she struggles to turn the door handle. Once it's secure, she lets go and floats out into space.
Man, tell you what, there's a lot of powerful stuff there. And, this is on the heels of, don't forget last week, guys, when the chief kind of blew it and got roped in by Boomer, who we kind of knew sort of had this plan for Hera. So basically, Boomer did the old double switch. She had the baby face turn, and then she goes right back to being a heel because apparently this was all the plan anyway. So, back to what, the teaser that Brahma was talking about. I mean, my goodness, so much to unpack there, and it's funny, like, when they're sitting there planning this, it's just, it's funny when you see Adama just say, Destiny is taking us to the ass end of nowhere, and he's just done with it. And
his ship's falling apart, and he's fed up with everything that's going on, and nobody's trusting him.
Yeah, and you clearly see, man, the guy is, Adama right now is probably feeling about the same way I am at this moment with the events going on in my life, without getting into that for you viewers. But, it just, I completely empathize with what Adama is feeling here. And, it's just crazy the ties that we see, because Starbuck is saying, well, Hera wrote down these notes to a song that she hadn't heard since she was a kid, and then Ty is like, that's the same song that switched us on. I mean, it's just it's crazy. So, and then when you got to the part where, even just these, and this was a great thing about Battlestar. Hail the Woke Breaker, man. What's up, buddy? Great to see you. Hail to Helam. Great to see you as well. Um, one of the great things about the show, even the little minutia they have in the background, like has a meaning to it. Brahma, where they have that whole thing where, in the beginning of the teaser, the Six is arguing with that other human on the repair crew, and they're arguing the merits of, the Cylon tech, or the Cylon stuff versus, the fact that the ship is human built and it's substandard, which is
Yeah.
the point that the Cylon's making, which technically she's not wrong.
Yeah, but then by the end of the teaser, you see that same Cylon sacrificing herself to save the human. So
yeah,
it's trying to make you question, are the Cylons really as bad as they're made out to be for most of the series? And it humanizes them again, and another Cylon gets humanized in just the teaser part of the episode. Yeah.
Well, you could definitely see among the fleet contingent of the Cylons that they are now 100% clearly just citizens of the fleet. They are every bit like, wanting to actually live within, the society structure, if you will, of the fleet. And, obviously the main thing of that is being able to interact with humans, which it's obvious to me, that they really, really have integrated. And you can see that so much from this.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, well, it's their survival that's on the line now too. So, I mean,
yeah.
they're integrating into the fleet. I don't know that the fleet is all that accepting of them, as we find out in the captain's meeting just a little bit later in the episode. But yeah, it's interesting how throughout the series it just kind of turns from mankind's greatest enemy to now working side by side as we come to the close. So
Well, it is, and to kind of bring that into focus, I mean, if we want to just touch on a realistic beat here, it's again, just in the broad sense, I think of we look at ourselves as people, and sometimes we question why we're so divided. Well, this should tell you right then and there, the gulf is not unbridgeable. It's not that you can't talk to your neighbor. It's just a fact of being able to, think freely and question, which is something that we've lost along the way in a certain section of our culture and our society, if you will, because this reinforces that idea that no gulf is unbridgeable. You can talk to people if you're willing to put your pride aside and actually talk.
yeah, there's typically less of a gulf between individuals than there is between groups.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get back to the individual level, you're going to find things that you have in common with people.
Yeah, exactly.
Your groups may never, because that's group mentality, mm-hmm. But the individuals can eventually bring groups together, because there are things that people have in common, even when you think you don't.
And that's a big lesson here for the Cylons, because they're breaking out of groupthink and thinking, okay. So they're breaking out of groupthink, and and basically what's happening is that you're seeing dialogues happen. You're seeing the foundation of a harmonious society.
Yeah.
So All right. Let's move over to Act
Get
1.
into Act 1. In sick bay, Ishay reports to Coddle when that's written weird, then turns to Ty and informs him that the accident has so far resulted in 61 dead, including 26 Cylons. Elsewhere in sickbay, Adama is told by the human crewman that the ship has 5 jumps left in her and that after that there's a 90% chance that she'll tear apart. Ty walks up and tells him that he has to be absolutely sure. Adama tells the crewman to tend to his own injuries and the crewman moves off. Ty says that Sonya wants to know when Adama will transfer his flag to the base ship. Adama scoffs at the idea, which Ty seconds. Ty moves off as Rosalind tells Adama that both of his women are dying and that he must feel like they were abandoning him. Adama says that they aren't going anywhere and that they've been neglected and just need more of his attention. He takes her hand and kisses it. You want to hit on that first, or okay? So then we go to the fleet captain's meeting. Captain Alchemer questions the idea of counting on Cylons for defense. Lee counters that Adama will be supported by the Marines and pilots, and Sonya points out that they agreed to recognize Adama's authority in exchange for a seat on the council. The other captains start putting requests in for various parts of the Galactica. Lee doesn't want anything taken until Adama gives his word, and a member of the quorum wonders what Baltar has to say about it. Lee is then incredulous. And that was some of the best acting he did was that one paste.
Dude, yes, that tirade that he has right here, he's like, we are not touching a single boat, you are not touching a bulkhead until
the old man says so.
The old man says so. Yes, exactly. It was great.
And then when the guy brings up Baltar, he's just like, Baltar? What are you talking about?
Right, exactly. And if we go back to the previous paragraph that you were talking about, and I love that little exchange that Ty and Adama had where Adama basically like looks over at Ty and says that'll be the day when they're going to transfer their flag to the base ship. And and then the tender moment between Rosalind and Adama, you can really see that their relationship, that's essentially now his wife, and that's that without them
second wife
being official. Yeah, exactly.
Because the ship is still his first lady.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it was all right. Ty does his usual thing and immediately lays into the crewman for not being 100% sure on something, which is very much in his character. And then,
that was great.
Adama, gently kind of tells him, go take care of your injuries, and they continue their conversation about what the guy was telling them. But everybody hits their points pretty well in that scene. So.
But yeah, I mean, the thing that really I think takes off for me is that the tirade that Lee has when they're having the quorum of the captains meeting. That's just that was epic.
Yeah, it's one time Lee actually stands up and makes sense, because I'm not a fan of Lee during most of the series. He was just never a character that I liked all that much. But every now and then he has a backbone and actually stands up for the right thing in the right way. And this was one of those times where he's like, nope, we're not doing anything until we're told we can. Because, I mean, they're ready to just tear the Galactica apart. And,
and Sonya from the Cylon, she backs him up. She's like, hey, listen, we wouldn't have joined this fleet if it wasn't for Adama, basically.
And also in that scene, it wasn't in this recap of it, but a few of the guys are talking about how weird it is that the people that they've been running from and being chased by for this whole time are now, they're just supposed to accept them as part of the defense of the fleet. And
right.
That's when Sonya first kind of speaks up. So, I mean, basically telling them, hey, we made a deal. We're planning on keeping our part of the deal. So.
Yeah. Man, shout out to Trisha Helfer again, because she plays so many different sixes and does so good with every single one.
And
So,
looks great as all of them.
but yes, she does.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, go ahead and continue, my friend. I
Yep.
think Baltar's on the wireless now.
Yep. Cuts to Baltar speaking on the wireless. He talks of angels and how they can help with doubts and trials. Starbuck can be seen listening to the wireless. Inner Six can be seen watching Baltar, and Baltar ends the broadcast, which makes you kind of wonder if Inner Six is the angel that he's talking about in his broadcast. But Caprica 6 takes supplies from one of Baltar's women and moves to leave. Baltar spots Caprica 6. He runs over to her and talks to her. He offers his condolences and then even a place to stay. Caprica says that she doesn't want to be part of his harem.
Dude, that's
He
such a
said,
great burn, by the way. She's
yeah.
just like, I don't want to be part of your harem.
Well, and then the funny part is it's kind of reversed. He's finally, wanting to help her and take care of her, unlike, back when they were first together back on Caprica. But, or was it Caprica? When they first met in the miniseries and the first episodes. But it's kind of a role reversal there that she wants nothing to do with him, and he's ready to finally stand up and take care of her. So, but let's see. He says that's not what he's suggesting, and says that he's trying to make a difference. She says that she's changed, even though he hasn't. She walks away as Baltar tears up. Then we go outside to Raptors inspecting the damage to the hull of the Galactica. Ty enters the sick bay. Cottle intercepts him and asks Ty to talk to a dying 8 who has requested to see him. Ty talks to her, and the 8 is happy to have met her father. He says that he doesn't deserve her thanks because he's been trying to kill her kind. The 8 says too much confusion before she dies.
Yeah,
on the Raptor.
That was trippy when that happened. I was like, whoa. But you can kind of get that where they look up to the final 5.
Yeah.
You can really see that from that interaction.
Well, and they talk about it a little bit later in the episode too, when Ellen and Ty are having their argument. And the too much confusion is directly from all along the Watchtower. So
yeah.
Yep. On the Raptor, Hera is crying for her mommy in one of the more annoying scenes in the episode as Boomer plots another jump. She mentions that it'll take 12 more jumps, but won't put up with the crying. She then gets up, goes to the med kit to look for something to help Hera sleep, and pulls out a needle. She wants Hera's arm, but Hera holds it with her other hand. Boomer stops as Hera sniffles again. They kind of gloss over how pissed off Boomer was during that scene. She wasn't just looking for something to help Hera feel better. She was, threatening her, basically ready to shove a needle into her, telling her to go to sleep, and she doesn't care if it's too much of the dosage, and it puts her out for days. So
she's like, I'm about to put this kid out. I want to hear crying kid.
That was an interesting way to sum that scene up.
Yeah, it was. Oh man,
so that's the end of Act 1.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially the I guess the whole thing with like Six and Baltar, especially, I love that kind of reversal and whatnot, where like you said, Baltar's really trying to reach out to her and patch things up, and she's like, I'm done with you, dude. You're basically a womanizing, arrogant fucktard.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with this with you because you never grow up. You're immature. And so she basically, and she tells him that right there. And he's like sitting there, he's like, he's really trying to plead his case. I'm trying to make a difference,
Yeah.
And she ain't having it, bro.
Well, I mean, he's played Slimy the whole series, so I mean, it's hard for anybody to trust him at any point, especially at this point, except for all of those that are blindly trusting him just because, he's got the whole harem thing going on, and he's got the wireless, and he's spreading things throughout the whole fleet. So
Yeah, it was like weird, man. It kind of reminds me of like it's like that thing I saw on Twitter where what was that one actor? Was it Jared Leto or somebody that had a cult? This is like
oh yeah,
he's like on an island and he legit had a bunch of women. It's crazy, like uh religious sanctum. It was weird. I don't know. I can't remember Jared Leto or who it was, but it was
I
crazy.
don't think it was Jared Leto, but I mean, it doesn't
Some
surprise
crazy
me that
actor.
somebody's done
Yep.
it.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
Move to Act
So,
2.
Act Two, my friend.
So as Ty rummages through his quarters, Ellen tells Ty that they have to do more because it's Hera. Ty says that he got Adama to agree to a recon mission, and Ellen isn't satisfied because Hera is the future of their people. Ty finally finds a bottle under the couch, but it's empty. He throws it against a wall in frustration. Ty says that his people are the crew of the Galactica. Ellen says that they were married for 2,000 years before he even met Adama. Ty says that that's just a number, and Adama's friendship is more. Ellen says that he's a Cylon, even if he doesn't remember, and that they tried to end the cycle of war before man and machine. Ty points out that it was a bust. Hera is their only hope for their people to survive, or they'll die one by one like they are in a sick bay. Ty says his children died, or his child died, and Ellen says that he's wrong and that he's had millions of children, and they hug.
You know, let's break that down for a second because, it's like you brought this up, bro. That's kind of where Ellen explained to him that you've had millions of children,
Yeah, the
basically.
whole race is an offshoot of them.
Yeah. So it really kind of puts it in perspective. So that really brings more context to, as you were saying, that interaction between him and the eight, because they really do kind of look up to him.
Ty's the only one who really doesn't accept that he is the father of all of them. I mean, Ellen tries to tell him, even the eight, you know, tries to make it clear that they all regard him as that, or at least, you know, a large majority of them probably do. But
Yeah. So yeah, I thought I thought it was quite interesting, though, like what he was talking about how much the Galactica means to him, and how much William Adama means to him, and everything. It's a lot of stuff in that interaction between Ellen and Saul,
and he's
and
literally tearing up the room trying to find a bottle of alcohol,
yeah,
and
yeah,
said there were times when she used to live there that you couldn't walk in the door without tripping over bottles everywhere. And then
yeah.
she makes some comment to him, and he said, "Well, you were more of a lush than I ever was."
Yeah, I remember that. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's why, folks, if you haven't seen the show yet, and I mean, it is so much fun to watch, and yeah, I mean, we can run into the same sort of gripes that we have with the stuff that we have now, and say, well, the actors are annoying, blah blah blah, because they're crazy like wokies and everything else. And yeah, they are to a large degree, some of them, but this show was just super well acted. And I want to make the point, because I always do, that these are the people that worked on Battlestar came directly over from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And frankly, DS9 was probably the most fleshed out, most human, most it's one of the Star Trek shows that will always stick with you because of the way that it presented itself. And those people brought that same style, that same feeling over here. So the way that this show is written, you know, it can be preachy in some points to a small degree, but overall, when you see the different things that they're trying to show you, the different struggles that humanity has, the different struggles that the Cylons have, showing each perspective, showing each interaction. It's always, the sides are presented pretty fairly. And that's what I liked about this, because when you weave that into the storytelling and you leave it up to the viewer, the fan that's watching it, and let them, decide where they come out on an issue, that is the best kind of respect for your audience and storytelling that, you know, um, any sort of movie or television show can have. And that's what this always did have. And that's why I consider the BSG remake series, this one, to be one of the last great pieces of science fiction television that we're going to see. Because in a time where we have things now like, you know STD and stupid ass uh, Picard and the you know some of these other shows. The only thing that is kind of stood, um, and to me, it still isn't an equal to this. And I might be biased because I'm a BSG fan, but the Orville and probably the Expanse, and that's it. That's all that you had. So this is one of the last great, really good science fiction series that you're going to watch. And so I can't say it enough. Do yourself a favor and watch it if you haven't. Yes, it does have the kind of storytelling that you'll be sitting there like, yeah, this wasn't just like watching a show, it was an experience. And that's what you want out of a really good piece of art, whether it be a movie or a television show. But I went off on that tangent. Let's go back to the rest of Act 2
Act two?
here.
Sure. Boomer's raptor jumps again. Boomer offers Hera a food bar, but Hera doesn't take it. Hera just looks at Boomer. Boomer tells Hera that when she's sad, she goes to a place where she feels safe. It was a house where she wanted to live with the man she loved. Boomer stands up. So then at this point, they go into a projection, a Cylon projection. So Boomer is in her house and Hera is there too. And it's then that Boomer realizes that Hera can project as well. Hera just holds up the bar and Boomer says that she can eat it.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Oh, this is a funny interaction. The next one.
Yeah. Baltar shaves and Kara is in a stall sitting on the toilet reading. When Baltar silently inquires about the door being open, Kara says that the latch was broken. Kara wants to know if he really believes in the crap that he's been spouting about angels. Inner Six can be seen for a moment, and Kara finishes in her stall, flushes, stands up, and walks over to another sink. Baltar wants to know who she is. Kara says that she's a dead chick. He thinks that she's being sarcastic and says that he's full of crap. She then says again that she's dead. She walks over to him, gives Baltar the dog tags that were on her body on Earth, and she tells him to analyze them and figure out what she is because she's not an angel. She then leaves. Baltar fingers the dog tags. A Marine opens a door for Kara, and she walks in, and it's closed behind her. New scene. Kara walks over to a tub where Anders is laying. The 8 says that they hooked him up to the central power grid, hoping he'd wake up. Kara says you tried to jumpstart him. Kara then asks for a moment alone, and the 8 leaves. After a moment, Kara talks about how she had told him that she would shoot him if he turned out to be a Cylon. She then adds that someone else beat her to it, and that all she could think about is that she wanted him back because he was just Sam, and she was, and He was her Sam. Suddenly, she pulls out her firearm and points it at his head. Before she can pull the trigger, Anders grabs her arm, and he starts babbling like a hybrid. Power fluctuations ripple through Galactica, including in the hangar deck, the pilot's briefing room, and the CIC. Anders keeps babbling as he grips her arm tighter and tighter. Kara finally drops the gun. Anders tells Kara that she's the harbinger of death. He then stops babbling as Kara is left speechless.
Yeah, and that's a running theme. They've been telling her that since Razor. You're the harbinger of death, Carrot Race. You're the harbinger of death, Carrot Race. I mean, so she's hearing it all over, but to hear it from him, man, that just about knocks her on her ass.
Yeah. And the beginning of the scene with her sitting on the toilet taking a dump or whatever she was doing, and having the door wide open while Baltar's in there shaving was funny, because it's an interesting way to set up that meeting between them. Her on the pot and him
Shaving,
just
yeah.
in there shaving and doesn't notice her. So
yeah, I mean, that was great, but yeah, it's funny because she hands him the dog tags like, look, dude, you decide what I am, but here you go.
I pulled these off my own dead body.
Yeah.
And she still got her dog tags.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, we get into more of it with Anders here in a few minutes, so there's not a lot to say about their interaction, except that she's finally kind of breaking down that she actually does love him, after all they've been through, and finding out that he's a Cylon and all that's happened to her. And she's getting ready to go through with, what they had talked about was ending him if he was a Cylon. So,
yeah,
but more as a mercy killing than out of hate.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I think we can continue on to Act 3.
Alrighty. In sickbay, Adama reads to Rosalind. Rosalind looks at Adama and he asks what. Rosalind tells him to open to page 61. He finds a cigarette there. Rosalind pulls out a lighter and a second cigarette and says that Cottle won't mind because it's medicinal. Adama realized that she saved it from that day on New Caprica when they were together for Baltar's groundbreaking. They reminisce about what they had talked about on New Caprica, about settling down and her cabin. Rosalind then tells him that she's never felt at home until the last few months on the ship with him. She knows that he loves the ship, maybe more than her, but she says that he has to get them all off of the ship or he may lose them both at the same time. She asks him to give both of us a chance.
And come on, folks, we already know those ain't cigarettes, man. They're sitting there toking up.
It's medicinal. Yeah, it wasn't, what was this, 2009? Hadn't been legalized in any of the states yet, so they were still skirting around it to, keep everybody happy with the FCC.
Yeah.
So Baltar, we go to Baltar in his lab. He scrapes a blood sample off the dog tag and analyzes it. Then we skip to another scene. Ty is briefed by the Cylons. They say he's been responsible for the power fluctuations. I think they say Andrew's been responsible for the power fluctuations and that he is somehow networked into the electrical circuits through the organic resin. Ty wants to know if he could jump the ship, and they say that he could, theoretically. Ty wants him taken offline. Kara can be seen looking on, but she says nothing. An 8 disconnects him, and Anders goes quiet again. You want to break down any of that first paragraph since we kind of jumped to a whole new area?
Yeah. Well, basically when Kara's, still in the area where they got Sam connected, and Ty is in there now, and the Cylons are basically telling him, like, okay, this is an interesting new development, and that this is all this shit is being done by Anders, being linked in with essentially the stream, because the organic resin functions the same way as the Cylon stream does on the base ship. So,
So all the goop they're using to repair it is making it a conduit for him to basically control the ship.
Yeah. So that's why when they tell Colonel Ty that Sam could jump the ship, theoretically that's what Ty's like. Nope, pull him out. For a little while, please.
If there's only 5 jumps at most, you're not letting him have control at the moment.
Yeah. And so that was that. I thought that was interesting. Kind of that Sam's almost evolving into a hybrid. Which maybe he was the original hybrid.
Well, and it's kind of like an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, where one of the engineers ends up having to merge with the ship using the holodeck, and he's controlling the ship from there. It's actually I can't remember his name. I mean, it's an actor everybody would know. He was on the show quite a few times, but it was the guy who played Max Headroom. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh God, man, I can't. Matt Frewer was his name.
Could be.
I think
so.
I think his name
he had a semi-recurring role on The Next Generation. He was the one that was scared to death of the transporters and stuff. He wouldn't use transporters. He always wanted to go by shuttle, that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
he ends up having to merge with the artificial intelligence in one of the episodes, if I remember right. So
yeah, Matt Frewer is indeed the actor that played Max Headroom. Yes, so it was Matt Frewer. Yes,
good memory.
Was in that episode. Hail to our boy Free Speech Gaming. He's in the chat lurking. So great to see. Great to see Freeze here. He's always on with us on Tuesdays when we're talking about the life and times of what's going on in our country. Yeah. So, we always love those discussions with him. Make sure that you sub to his channel. Stephen, if you're there while you're lurking, feel free to drop your link so people can sub to you. Thank you. And yeah. All right, let's see. Let's go on to, I believe.
All right, so yeah, the next couple sections are just kind of disjointed scene by scene by scene, but
yeah, so, this is all like where I think coming up it's going to be just Boomer and Hera stuff.
Yeah. Well, first the Raptor comes back, and they tell Sonia and Ellen tell Adama that Cavil has moved the colony approximately 5 months ago, just before the Cylon Civil War. Adama realizes that they don't know where the colony is now, which means they don't know where Hera is being taken. So then we go back into the projection with Boomer and Hera. In the projection, Boomer tells Hera that she can imagine anything she wants. Boomer then asks if Hera wants a special room, a room where I thought my daughter would live. Boomer takes Hera up to Dion's room, and Hera starts jumping and walking on the bed.
Yeah.
So we're done with the projection at that point. So repairs are being done to the outer damaged hull as Raptors light the work area. In the corridor, Hilo catches up with and asks Adama if he and Athena can take a Raptor out. Adama says that he's already sent a recon and they couldn't find the facility where they believe that Boomer would have taken Hera. Hilo asks again. Adama says that he has lost a son and Hilo has lost a daughter. He continues that he can't condone a suicide mission and wants Hilo to let it go. Hilo counters that the ship is dying. Adama tells him that he doesn't need to be lectured, and he apologizes and begs Adama one last time for a single Raptor. Adama refuses and leaves. So they kind of summed that up in a very short paragraph that was a very intense conversation. But
That was an intense conversation, dude. And that, and Tomo Pennicott that plays Hilo actually really did a great job in that interaction. And so did Almost, but Almost is a pro. But Tomo Pennicott just did awesome. And that was, and they found, Hilo tries to find common ground with with them having mutual loss and Adama understanding that, but Adama doesn't want to lose personnel right now, and and Hilo's telling him everything. The ship is dying, sir. Stuff like that, and Adama is just struggling with it right now because he's struggling with his own pride. And
he's got the weight of the fleet on his shoulders. He's got a dying, basically wife, and he's got a dying ship. So, I mean, he's under as much stress as the whole is. So
yes, exactly.
But yeah, it was also interesting that he brought up Adama's son because they don't mention his dead son much in the series. I mean, it's like the first season, and then it's just kind of a lost thread that just all of a sudden appears here again. I don't recall a whole lot of it, outside of season 1, maybe season 2.
There's been a couple mentions. There wasn't hardly anything in season 3. So, yeah.
So there's a funeral for the human and Cylon crew that died in the accident. Ellen, Adama, Baltar, and A6, possibly Sonia, speak at the funeral. Caprica 6 can be seen milling around. As the funeral closes, Baltar looks over at Caprica 6 and then down at the dog tags that he's fingering. The funeral ends and Baltar speaks up. He says that they have one last hope for survival, and that is to embrace death. He says that he has proof that someone has already crossed over and is living proof that there is life after death. He holds up the dog tags and says that the blood on the dog tags came from a dead body. I think he said it was necrotic tissue. But it is 100% a match with Kara Thrace. He says that he said that angels walk among them and that she's not a Cylon because they've already been revealed to them. Adama tells him to shut up, but Baltar continues that they should ask Kara because she will not deny it. Kara walks up to him and slaps him. Adama orders the deck cleared, and everyone starts to leave except for Baltar and Lee.
Yeah, and that is a great interaction too, man. Man, my goodness, it was just like damn. Kara was mad that in a way that he outed her, but it was I totally get it. I totally get it, because Baltar was trying to make a point to everybody. Yeah. And in his own way, he's trying to tell people, hey, look, this is not the time to not have faith. So Baltar did it in an extreme manner, but that was the message that he was trying to get across.
Right. I looked at it a little bit different. I don't think Kara was mad. I mean, Kara, when she's mad, would do a hell of a lot more than slap him. I think she gave it to Baltar knowing what he would find and wanted it announced, even though she didn't want to be the one to announce it. She may have been upset at where he decided to announce it, but I think he was playing into her hands by, making the announcement for her that she really was dead.
Yeah. Yeah, you got a point too, dude. Yeah.
I don't know. That's just kind of how I always took that scene is, I mean, if she was really mad, we've seen her mad. She's going to do a lot more than just slap him across the face. She'd be tackling him down and beating the crap out of him. So I don't know. It seemed like controlled anger or feigned anger to me, but I think either way, it's still the point of what Baltar was doing was, trying to say, hey, there is still something going on here. So
yeah. Hail to the wonderful Lady Mist. Wonderful stream. It's Premier Tech. I missed these, and this evening I got a notification. I'm glad you did. I've missed you, Lady Mist. I hope you're well, my friend. You are a dear, dear friend to me, and I miss seeing you all the time in the chat. So it's good to see you. Oh, all right. So where are we at? We are heading over.
Takes us to Act 4.
Yes, sir.
So Kara stands in the memorial corridor. Lee walks up to her and wants to know what she's doing. She just looks at him. He says that he doesn't care. He says that he saw her Viper explode, but he doesn't care. He gently touches her face and says, "This is all that matters." She smiles. He tells her, "See you around," and leaves. She turns back to the wall, puts a picture of herself on the wall next to Kat. So
and I think in that moment, she's finally at peace with it. When she puts that picture of herself on the wall next to Kat.
And the interaction with Lee kind of seemed weird with me. I thought it almost seems like he's trying to hit on her again, even though her husband's laying in a coma, dying. But I don't know if that's what it was supposed to be, or if it was just, because they've had the on and off again type thing going on, and it was a little bit too intimate almost.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but it was an interesting scene, especially since she's basically, like you said, accepting it. I mean, she's putting herself on the wall of the dead. So
yeah.
Yep. So we then jump to Boomer's Raptor enters the colony, and it lands inside. Boomer carries Hera through the hall. Cavill appears. He asks Boomer if everything went well, and she says that it did. He says that he wishes that he could have been there to see Ellen's face when she realized she'd been played. Cavill tells her to go get some rest. Boomer hesitates, and Cavill tells her that Hera will be okay, and Cavill then takes Hera. Boomer starts to cry as she sees Cavill take Hera. Boomer starts to cry as she sees Cavill take Hera into a nearby room. He puts her down as she cries for Boomer. He tells her that she'll soon have all sorts of new playmates as he leaves. Hera cries for Boomer as Boomer cries.
Yeah, and Boomer's starting to realize, I think, that I went too far doing this. I actually did screw up.
Yeah.
Which she essentially carried out that plan in the last episode, flawlessly. She played not one of the final five, but two, if you count Ellen. She played the chief, but she played Ellen. And then also, I mean, God, she did a lot of despicable shit the last episode. I mean,
Yep.
So, she's finally, I think, in her own way, realizing the shit that she's done. And she's slowly getting that moment where she wants to find any way of a path to atonement. But
she's developing a conscience.
She's developing a conscience. Yeah, that's well put, sir. All right.
So then we jump to Adama stops in a corridor to watch repairs for a moment before continuing to the door to his quarters. Adama enters his quarters and goes into the head where a wall has been treated with the compound. Adama runs his hand over the treated wall before picking up a paintbrush. He frantically paints the wall before breaking down, sinking to the floor, and crying. So yeah, that was one of the more powerful scenes that he has. It's his final acceptance of the ship is just done.
Yep, that really is, and man, that just rips you apart because you're like, man, this is his ship, and you can see the attachment that he has to this. I mean, sure, it's metal and bulkheads to a lot of people, but to him, this was the grand lady of ships, and I mean, that was, and it'll become plainly apparent as we get into the final paragraph here, but continue.
Sure. Kara talks to the comatose Anders as Hera's picture and the song composition could be seen in her lap. She knows that he can hear her. She says that the old her is gone, just like the old him is gone. She just doesn't know what the new her is doing there. but she figures that it has something to do with the music. She then plugs him back in. He adjusts to being jacked back in and says, "New command." Ty walks into Ty walks into Adama's quarters and finds Adama freshening up. Adama says that he's made a decision. Ty figures that he's going to send the Cylon work crews packing. Adama instead says that he's decided to halt repairs. He wants the crew to start stripping down the ship and packing up the gear. He wants civilians evacuated by tomorrow and the crew and ordnance by the end of the week. He says that they are abandoning ship. Ty is in disbelief. Adama says that the ship is dying and it has to be done. Ty says that he can't and won't let Adama do it. Adama says that he can't change what Ty is included, that he was the best officer and friend he ever had. He then adds that they'll send the ship off in style. Ty sits down next to Adama, who offers Ty a drink. They then toast the Galactica.
And that was the best ending ever for this episode. And that's why, man, this is one of the episodes I go back and watch time and again, just pretty much for that ending scene. I love that ending scene, that whole interaction. And, the thing where they just toast the Galactica is so perfect, dude. It's awesome. Maria from Tiantelli is here. Oh, we have a super chat from Salty, Texas C. What up, Salty? It's great to see you, my friend.
Howdy, sir.
Hail, grab your gun and bring in the cat. Yes, sir. Thank you so much for the $1.99 super chat. Appreciate that. And Maria is just so awesome.
Maria.
I love Maria with Tiantelli. Thank you, Maria, is all I can say. So we have both Marias here. It's Maria in stereo. We have Unlocking Lore Maria and we have Maria with Tiantelli. And I love both Marias. Absolutely. And Salty Texas C, I agree with you. At Maria, dear sweet lady. Yes, absolutely. And Lady Mist sends a $5 super chat. Hey, Drew, it's been a while. It has been a while, darling. And it is wonderful to see you. We have so many wonderful people that watch this program every week. And I'm so thankful for you guys. I'm so glad to call you friends. So, but getting back to that interaction though, man, it's what makes this episode to me a classic, dude. I love this episode for the way that it ends.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I think the episode, there's not a lot that makes it rewatchable. I mean, there are certain scenes in this episode. Definitely the end scene is always going to be one that people are going to point to for Galactica. Mm-hmm. The rest of the episode, though, I mean, it was maybe a 5 or 6 to me. I mean, it's really a setup episode getting ready to go headlong into the final 2 episodes. So it's one of those that kind of gets overlooked. A lot of people said it was the second weakest episode in the series. Not the whole thing, but overall the episode gets rated pretty lowly. But there are parts of this episode that people will always bring up, like you did with the end.
Oh yeah, and on the track of it, even though this one is one of my sentimental favorites, I mean, just being objective, looking at it, yeah, dude, it's not much over a 7. I mean, you can't really give this episode much over a 7 at all.
Yeah,
if
there's really no action or anything else,
because it's all it's all development, it's all story continuity type stuff. So that's where I'm at, with the episode on a quality level, at least from start to finish, but it's still a favorite for the sentimental reasons. And that's like, cause there's some interactions in here that are really awesome, but other than those interactions, you don't really have a whole, I guess, backbone to it, if you will, so not like some episodes, and hey, that's fine, because this one, it's like you said, this is getting ready to head into the finale, and there's
Yeah.
going to be a lot more big stuff there. So,
And when I
um,
rewatch it, I typically skip through the Boomer Hera stuff, but I
okay,
typically
right,
skip through um let's see, the Boomer Hera stuff. That's most of what just kind of drags the episode. I mean,
yeah,
the stuff with Kara is very interesting because I mean, it finally does reveal, yeah, we saw her die, she did die. Now everybody knows it. So,
right,
I mean, there are some revelations in the episode as they're getting ready to go into the end. But for the most part, there are just some slower parts of the episode. I'll agree. I mean, there are a lot of scenes that are sentimental favorites, and there are some good things in it. Um, but yeah, if you get through the Boomer and Hera stuff and just skip through that, then it's a pretty good overall episode, I thought.
yeah, it really is. But still, on a quality level, just being objective, I wouldn't give this above a 7, and that's
Yeah,
what my rating for this one is. It's a 7. So,
yeah. I think I said 5 or 6. I'd probably stick right around 6. Yeah.
okay, all right, fair enough. So, well, that pretty much wraps that up, folks. We're gonna be back. Um, I'm not sure 100% about next week because I might have something going on Thursday, but I know most definitely the week of the 26th and the second we will definitely have the stuff for the finale, and I'm going to try to make sure that we line up Gary for that because Gary had expressed interest in coming on and doing the finale with us. So um, I'm going to effort to get Gary here. So if indeed we don't have an episode this particular coming week, we will definitely be back on the 26th and the 2nd, and that will close out the Pegasus Actual podcast for a little while until, of course, we come back with, when we do come back, we're going to kind of shift gears and go into the original series, which will be really fun. And I have people that are waiting to talk about the original because there's a lot of people that love Dirk Benedict and love Lauren Green and love, you know, uh, all the characters that were in that show, and of course Richard Hatch. So that'll be fun to talk about too. So,
Yep.
anyways, if I don't see you guys on Thursday, we will see you the week of the 26th and the week of the 2nd. And if not, we will see you next week in the week of the 26th. But either way, we will have we'll be covering the finale of BSG, the remake series, and do that. And maybe we'll throw in an extra episode after it just so we can do if you guys want us to do the plan, because I know we did previously we did the other little mini movies for this. We did Razor and whatnot, so maybe we'll do the plan. So I'll see what Brahma thinks about doing the plan, and we'll go from there. But all right, well, Brahma, I will let you go ahead and plug your channel,
Sure.
and you tell folks where they can find you, what you got going on.
Yep, got my own channel, Brahma Bull, as it shows in the corner, spelled the same. I'm also, well, getting ready to go on Thursday Night Throwdown here in a couple minutes. I think they just started a couple minutes ago, and we're going to have a fun show tonight. It's going to be a little bit different. We've got a special guest that we're kind of catering to what he specializes in. So come check that one out if you get a chance over on Comics Division's channel.
Yep.
Monday we got I'm on Yelling at Park Cars. Tuesday I am on Drew's channel for United Resistance. So yeah, come come check them out. We have fun on all the streams that I managed to find myself on. I kind of just get all over the place, but yeah, it was a fun evening. Thank you very much, Lady Mist.
Yeah, see, you did awesome, sir. You know, people are already loving it, so that's great.
Good.
So, you know, yeah, thank you so much, folks, for checking us out. You know, we've got more Pegasus Actual for you. We've got, of course, on Tuesdays, as Brahma mentioned, Resistance on this channel as well that you can catch us on. So, yeah, it's always fun. Tuesdays are great because we get to talk about what's happening in the world, and we just we go at it with gloves off, and that's what's awesome about it. So, until next time, make sure you guys take care of yourselves, take care of each other. You guys are the best chat on YouTube, and we love you, and we'll see you soon. So say we all.
So say we all. Cheers.